feel great. The talking is over. Let's get this on the road. Ain't no more talking.
What was his power like? Have you been hit by anybody that strong before?
I've been hit harder.
No, in a real fight, not a sparring.
In a real fight. Avanesian, I mean not Avanesian, but Mean Machine hit harder than Canelo to me.
Styles make fights. Yeah, that's right. Styles make fights. It's something that age-old tale in boxing, something that we always say. You know, it's kind of cliche going through the boxing community that styles make fights. But if there's one thing about boxing that is true, it is that styles really do make fights.
I need y'all to get the likes up, man. Get the likes up.
And in the case of Canelo Alvarez, Golden Boy's president, right? I believe this is Eric Gomez, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But he's one of the guys that's running things at Golden Boy Promotions that's a little bit more behind the scenes versus Oscar De La Hoya and Bernard Hopkins. I believe this is Eric Gomez. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe Richard Schaefer, but I think this is Eric Gomez. But either way, he had this to say about Canelo Alvarez.
Is it safe to say you were not stunned by what happened when he faced Canelo?
No, I picked him to win. I picked him to win, and that's a style that we avoided. The 12 years that we had Canelo, we avoided that style. The only reason the Lara fight got done was because Canelo insisted on it. But even Austin Trout gave him problems. Lara gave him problems. That's a style that we avoided. Mayweather did. And I felt that it was going to be a very similar fight to the Mayweather fight. I felt that Crawford was going to win a decision. I didn't think it was going to be that lopsided. I thought it was going to be a lot closer, but I felt that Crawford was going to beat him in a decision.
Now, to hear what he had to say, he said that they, for 12 years, have been keeping Canelo away from certain styles. That this style always gave Canelo problems. And that Canelo Alvarez actually insisted on fighting Erislandy Lara. Now, I told you guys I got to give Canelo credit from taking the Crawford fight in general because, well, I already knew that this was a bad stylistic matchup for him, right? This is something that I've been saying, like I worked for Golden Boy, like I worked for Canelo. I was telling everybody for the longest time, like, look, man, this is a bad style matchup for dude. He don't really like to fight these guys. Right? It don't matter if they super slick or a little bit slick. He just don't like to fight them. They got to be more along the lines like a Danny Jacobs or a James Kirkland for him to be truly comfortable in the ring with them dudes. But if they got any type of slickness to him, he don't really want to deal with them. And this is why I gave Canelo full credit for the Crawford fight. Whether he won or lost the fight, I would have gave him full credit for it because I know historically, typically, he don't like to fight those type of guys. But Eric Gomez said, man, we already knew he was going to lose that fight. And this is why we kept him away. And this is something a lesson to be learned, right? Like these promoters and shit, they only loyal to you as long as you're working under them, right? They spilled the beans on Canelo Alvarez. Like, look, man, and this is something that I knew anyway, right? A lot of us probably really knew this stuff, but it ain't the promoter's job to come out here and lay this shit out on the table for the public, right? Now Canelo, for the rest of his career, is going to be lingering around boxing. You know, well, he avoided this style. Well, he avoided that style for a reason because he can't beat every style and all this stuff. You know, they knew these things, right, for years. Golden Boy Promotions knew these things, but yet and still, they was trying to sell this image, this likeness, this entity that was unstoppable, right? Of course, they was pandering to the Mexican boxing fans because Mexican boxing fans, some of the most loyal fans in boxing, right? And they some of the biggest fan bases in boxing. They always go show up for their fighters. They always go support their people. So this is what they was playing on, right? And they had to, in order for them to continue to play on something like this, right, for as long as they did, well, they had to keep Canelo Alvarez away from certain guys. But once Canelo finally broke free, he decided to do his thing, right? But of course, he went with Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn kind of enabled the bullshit as well, right? Because Eddie Hearn knows what he sees too. Now, he ain't going to publicly come out and say things because he might want to work with Canelo Alvarez in the near future or something like that, right? But Eddie Hearn knew this thing too. Right? And this is why he kept him away from guys like Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. Yeah, that's right. Remember when Andrade pulled up, asked for a fight, Canelo said, get out of here, and then Eddie kind of turned on Boo Boo Andrade as well. And Eddie is supposed to be promoting Boo Boo Andrade. And, you know, it was kind of a shady deal, right? Well, this is because Eddie Hearn himself also knows that a style like Demetrius Andrade would have been an absolute nightmare for Canelo Alvarez, right? So, come on, man. This is stuff that I've been saying for a long time. But people still was caught up into the glitz and the glamour, you know. And I'm not taking nothing away from Canelo like he's a horrible fighter. It's just that certain styles is going to have your number, right? Certain style. This is why guys like Pitbull Cruz want to stay away from certain fighters. He don't want to stay away from anybody that moves around a little bit. If you're a fighter that moves around a little bit, he don't want nothing to do with you. No, he wants you to stand feet planted right in front of him, swinging for the fences. That's what he wants. Now, Canelo Alvarez is the type of guy who every once in a while will like to challenge himself, right? He would like to challenge himself against guys like Terence Crawford. Crawford was a real challenge. This is why he wanted a lot of money for fighting Terence Crawford. And if there was no money involved in that fight, if there was no Turkey Al-Sheikh, I should say, then there would have been no Canelo versus Crawford, no Crawford versus Canelo. It wouldn't have never been. Why? Because Canelo knows that that's a bad style for him. Regardless of how skilled he has gotten over the years, how many boxing tricks he's learned over the years, naturally he will just always struggle with the speedier, twitchier fighters. He's going to always struggle with those guys, right? Not to mention he's in there with arguably the best since Floyd Mayweather and Terence Bud Crawford, who's a phenomenal talent, right? Who's a generational talent, and he's one of those guys that's simply good at every damn thing. Every time we see Terence Crawford, he's excelling at whatever it is he's doing. Whether it's running, whether it's throwing football, whether it's playing basketball, whether it's wrestling, whether it's sword fighting. His dude's excelling at everything that he's doing. So how could you go against a guy like that at any time? Right? Come on, man. It was a no-brainer. This whole Canelo thing was a no-brainer. And now we waiting to see what's next for both guys. We hearing rumors, whispers, I should say, that there could possibly be a rematch. I'm not quite sure how true that is. I'm saying that's probably about 10%, 20% true. You know how things that circulate through the boxing community when ain't too much going on. People got to make up rumors and stuff like that. But if it is true, I say that's the only logical fight really for Canelo at this point. I mean, who else is Canelo going to fight? What else to do he got to prove? I don't really want to see the guy go out here losing against guys that he wouldn't have never lost to. So if you go in there and lose against anybody, why not beat Terence Bud Crawford, try to get another crack at that again? However, it's going to be even more of an uphill battle, right? And actually, I think even if they did fight a second time, I think Crawford probably will stop Canelo Alvarez the second go-round because now I think the green light will be on for him to kind of do what he wants in the fight, right? The first fight, the team was in control. He was listening to his team. Crawford felt like he could have stepped on the gas and got him up out of there, but his team said, no, we're going to keep driving like we've been driving, keep it on cruise control, and keep doing what we're doing, make sure we get this victory. But I think if they fought again, I think the outcome will be a little bit more different. I think the outcome will be a little bit more decisive, even though it's decisive the first time, I think it'll be even more decisive the second time. But yeah, man, this is something that I've been telling you now. This is no slight towards Canelo Alvarez. I told you guys, Canelo Alvarez, I have nothing bad to say about the guy, but this just goes back to what I've been saying for years is styles make fights. You know, styles make fights. I've been telling you guys that if Crawford and Canelo actually ever fought, and I've been saying this for years, if Crawford and Canelo actually fought, if Crawford was a middleweight fighter, he will beat Canelo Alvarez easy work. And I was maybe the dojo members, you know, they was in agreement with me, right? But I was one of the first channels I believe that was out here saying that. Right, that Canelo Alvarez and Crawford fought. Crawford to beat that dude easily, bro. It's an easy fight. And sure enough, he got in there. He made it look really easy. So I mean, styles make fights at the end of the day. Nobody's style is unbeatable. But for right now, I would like to argue that Terence Crawford right now has a style that seems unbeatable. But yeah, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think, man. Is Crawford's style unbeatable? I mean, he seems to be able to adapt to whatever style that's in front of him, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're bringing. They said the guy was chinny, right? That was the thing. Would he be able to take the power? They said the guy was chinny. He proved that he wasn't chinny at all. You know, he took Canelo Alvarez's biggest shots. Bud Crawford's just a hell of a fighter. But Eric Gomez, the president of Golden Boy Promotions, came out and told us, like, look, man, we kept, for 12 years that we had this dude, we've been keeping him away from certain styles. Hell, he even had trouble with Austin Trout. So, yeah, man, I mean, that leaves no doubt that sometimes these promoters, man, yeah, when they working with you, yeah, they on your side then, but once things, you know, once fighter decides to go his own separate way, then they start talking about you like he wasn't playing in the hay. But yeah, man, Canelo Alvarez, he avoided certain styles, apparently, according to Eric Gomez, right? I think this is Eric Gomez. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I think it is, though. Who else would have had Canelo Alvarez for 12 years other than a Golden Boy Promotions, right? But yeah, they said that Canelo Alvarez, man, avoided certain fighters. Look, man, we already knew this stuff, right? Of course, the boxing public didn't really listen to these narratives of these things, right? But yeah, man, tell me what you guys think. Eric Gomez, the president of Golden Boy Promotions, I believe this is Eric Gomez, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, came out and said that for 12 years, they've been hiding Canelo Alvarez from certain styles because they knew that those styles would give him trouble. Like, subscribe, holla at your boy. Peace out.